What is going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans, and college football fans everywhere? Welcome to the Picture Network. I am, of course, Tyzilla83. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the content. If you would, at the end of the video, like, comment, share what you've watched, and if you haven't already, feel free to tap the subscribe button down below. I know, Ty, where you been? I've been feeling like poop. This Ozark Mountain Air getting to me. This time of year, when you're getting into January, February, March, it can get a little brutal here in Northwest Arkansas. Statewide, just seems like everyone's like, God, please, someone put a bullet in my head. There's so much to cover. We've had the national championship between Alabama and Clemson. There's not really a lot for me to say there than, okay, Clemson won. The men's basketball team, Razorbacks, struggling. Kentucky did what they do best at Rupp, and that's rip teams apart. And then Arkansas will turn around and lose Mississippi State at Bud Walton. So there's a lot to cover with that. But I want to get to this vacant defensive coordinator position for the Razorback football team. Look, I did a video not long ago, about a month ago, for those of you who missed it, talking about, where we popped the hood on the 2016 Razorback defense, and nothing about it was good. The only good that came out of 2016 was the fact that the secondary played at a higher level, and they were definitely better. I think the world of Ryan Pulley. I think he's developed so well here at Arkansas. I was always impressed with this kid since they started recruiting him. And I highly, highly recommend you to go check out Highlight Creator, a YouTube channel. He did a video on Pulley. Maybe I'll link it down in the description box if I can remember. Very well done, so shout out to Highlight Creator. But good stuff. But Rob Smith's 2016 defense was atrocious. It was ugly, but it's not the only reason why he got fired. He got fired because the defense was trending downward. 2014 they were really good on defense. 2015 they were awful. 2016 they were worse. When you look at recruiting, you're not so sure that it's going to get any better. They do have Monteric Brown committed. Hopefully he signs. I think they're still waiting on that. Well, obviously they're waiting on that until February. But, there's still a lot of questions on the defense. And you had a senior-led team in 2016. And I get Dre Greenlaw being out hurt. But, so anyways, that's why I think Rob Smith got fired, because back-to-back bad years and trending in a negative direction, a bad direction. So here we are. We're looking for a new DC. I put together a short list, really short list of guys. These are realistic names. No far reaches here, I don't think. These are three guys that I could see being the next defensive coordinator at Arkansas. One of them maybe you could consider one of these a little bit of a pipe dream. The other two are pretty realistic given their history. So let's go into these three names. The number three I'll start with is the guy who's the farthest reach for the Razorbacks. That's Gene Chizik. And I'll tell you, I know that there's some bad blood between Razorback fans and really Gene Chizik and all of the SEC. But, this guy as a defense coordinator he's been proven. I did a little research here. He was hired on at Auburn in 2002. So from 2002 to 2004, he was their defense coordinator. Listen to what he did here. In 2004, his defensive unit led the country in scoring defense, giving up only 11 points a game, 11.3. And the total defense ranked 5th, which is the same ranking that his 2003 team recorded. And, of course, he would go on and garner the Broyles Award, which is given to each year to the best assistant in college football. He's just a proven name. As a defense coordinator, he's currently at North Carolina, and I really don't think Razorbacks would have any trouble pulling him away from UNC if Brett Bielema got on the horn with him, and offered up a pretty good, lump sum of money. But I'm sure he would take the job regardless, because it's back in the SEC. And another reason why I like this guy is because one of the difficulties that the Razorbacks have had a hard time overcoming is the fact that there's a real big lack of talent on defense. When you compare Arkansas's recruiting compared to really the rest of the SEC on the defensive side, recruiting wise, they're terrible. I don't know that there is such a thing, but I guarantee if you went and split every single team in the SEC and ranked them by their defensive recruiting, It's not been very good here at Arkansas. It's never been great, right? I mean, it's always been tough to recruit good defensive players here at Arkansas. I mean, we've had, don't get me wrong, I'm sure we can pull some names out, guys that were highly recruited. But under Brett Bielema especially, they've just kind of struggled in that area. And I think Chizik would immediately, that'd be something that I think he would help. I think it's somewhere he would, he could apply his one of his many strengths as a defensive coordinator. And I know too, and I know immediately I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. He said, but it doesn't seem like a lot of Brett Bielema's coordinators go out and actually recruit much, but they have. Rob Smith has even, with Brett Bielema, gone on and done in-house visits. And I also think Brett Bielema kind of leaves that up to his coordinators as well as to whether or not they stay in direct contact with some of these recruits. But Gene Chizik is a hands-on kind of guy. That's all I ever heard from Auburn fans, and anything revolving around Auburn is how hands-on he was, even as a coordinator back when he was the DC at defense coordinator for Auburn back in 2002 to 2004. He'd be hands-on, and I feel like immediately you'd feel like the talent would improve on the defensive side of the ball, on top of the fact that he's a hell of a defense coordinator. Number 2 on my list is a guy who's also he coached the defensive line at Arkansas, and he coached with Brett Bielema at Wisconsin. That's Charlie Partridge. A big reason, he's never been a coordinator, but he has been a head coach, and he's coached a defensive line for a while. Partridge was widely credited as Wisconsin's lead recruiter in the state of Florida and helped land running back Alex Collins to the Razorbacks his first 2 months on the job at Arkansas. I feel like Florida's a place just where Brett Bielema really wants to get things going, and Partridge would immediately, recruiting-wise, would help there so much more. I mean, they've already done, when you talk about going in and, getting players out of Florida, they've done a pretty decent job. I think Partridge would be a strength in recruiting. And another thing, the weakness of Arkansas this last year was their defensive line. I mean, he's a proven defensive line coach. His first year he'd probably have them turned completely around in that area. So I think that's a win-win if you were to go with Charlie Partridge as your next defensive coordinator, and I think he'd be successful at it. And he has experience in the SEC and at another big gig, as far as being on a staff in the Power 5 conference. And the number 1 guy, and I feel like there's already a lot of smoke around him, and I feel like he's probably going to be the guy, is Paul Rhodes. I like Paul Rhodes. The more I read about him, the more I'm like, sign him up now. Hired on at Pittsburgh. For the first time ever to be a defensive coordinator, coming from Iowa State as the defensive back coach. So in 2000, he took over. In 2000, Rhodes was hired as defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Panthers by Walt Harris. In his first season, Rhodes was credited with improving the team's defense to their best performance since 1980. In 20 years, he gave them their best defensive performance. In 2001, his defensive unit ranked among the nation's top 30 in 5 different categories at season's end. Additionally, Pitt would finish that year with 38 quarterback sacks. In 2002, the Panthers' defense ranked among the nation's top 25 in an impressive 7 different categories. In 2004, Pitt ranked 9th nationally with 17 interceptions, and Rhodes was kept on by the new staff, or on the new staff by Dave Wanstead, who we all know would go on and take over. I think he'd be an outstanding defensive coordinator. He's number 1 on my list. I hope this is their hire. When you look at this guy and you compare him to realistic options, okay, I'm sure there's someone out there far better, but, I still think it's going to be hard to find someone better, in my opinion, than Paul Rhodes. I like Paul Rhodes. Head coaching experience from 2009 to 2015 at Iowa State. He's been a long-term, he played defensive back in college. He's coached defensive backs. You know what he did at Arkansas in 2016 for their defensive backfield? I feel like what he did for the DB unit, he could do for Arkansas's defense. So that's where I'm at with what's going on with the DC position. Those are 3 guys I'd like to see. So let me know. Who do you have? A couple of guys? I realistically had 5, but I cut the list down to 3. But I want to know if you've got a list and who you'd like to see as the next defense coordinator at the University of Arkansas. So until the next video, you guys try hell to be kind to one another. Peace.